Good day to you, children of God. So glad to have this opportunity to come and speak life to you again today. Welcome to one of our Kingdom Conversation broadcasts. This is a time that we take to speak and to communicate and to share with each other about life and life's promises and the things that we can do to walk in the fullness of the life that God has destined for us. So I certainly pray that each of you are well, blessed, and prosperous wherever you are today as we have this conversation. It is always encouraging to share times of communicating with people from around the world, different cultures, different races, different economic backgrounds, educational backgrounds, to find out and to concentrate on the things that we have in common. It is so easy for us to focus on the differences that we have with one another that we fail to find the things that we have in common. Because if we do not find the things or concentrate on the things we have in common, we build walls instead of bridges. We separate instead of connecting. I often share in life with many people in my circle that it's almost like each person has a piece of a puzzle. And that one piece by itself doesn't seem to fit anywhere. It doesn't seem to make sense until you get connected to someone else who may be able to help you paint a bigger picture. And then you see how your piece of the puzzle fits together. And I believe that there's so many of us who are searching for different things to happen in our life, maybe in the area of relationship, a business or a job, or neighborhood you live in, or just the community, geographic community that you're in. And in the event of this social networking and the internet and such, our communities broaden exponentially into the virtual arena. Whether people like it or not, whether it's the best way or not is not the question, but we must face the reality that a lot of our world is becoming more virtual every single day. I know during the pandemic, many businesses, schools even, had to pivot to what they call virtual learning. A lot of workplace environments that relied on the use of technology, they worked at home virtually. Restaurants started doing takeouts instead of having in-house dining. Even dating is done virtually. For it seems like the majority of people meet online. There are still instances where people meet in the common places, restaurants, just in public, friends introducing people to each other. But we must understand that in the midst of this world that is rapidly becoming more virtual, we still need to maintain what I call real relationships with real people. Now, you can establish those through those virtual means or those social means, but as you connect with people, your connection should evolve to more of a social need instead of a virtual need in order for things to get more solid for you. Because everybody who's appeared online is not necessarily the person that you think they are. I've been quite fascinated with some of the accounts that are given by people using the term catfishing, where someone pretends to be someone online. And these ongoing, lack of better words, relationships can go on for years without a person actually seeing the other person or actually meeting the other person. And that may work for many people in our world today, just needing that communication. But I want to talk to you about what happens after you establish communication. People have certain needs as humans. If you studied a little bit of elementary things about a particular science called psychology or sociology, we understand that a man named Abraham Maslow talked about certain human needs. He came up with, I believe, 7 different needs that he called the hierarchy of needs, that he felt that during his research in times of dealing with people with emotional, social, or even maybe mental or relationship problems, that people seem to have a common set of needs in order for them to feel fulfilled in life. And it's not much dissimilar from what Jesus talked about in the scriptures about the need for community. That is common unity. We all have certain things that we want to do with groups. We want to belong to people. We want to feel loved. We want to feel like we have purpose in life. We want to feel valued in life as valuable people. We don't want to be ignored and appear as if we don't matter. And so I'm so greatly encouraged by the ministry of Jesus Christ that lets us know that each person is valued. Now, you may not hear it or you may not feel that way for various reasons in your life, but this is why I'm blessed that we can use this technology that we have available for these types of broadcasts, which may allow someone to hear, maybe the first time today or this week or this month or this year, that you are loved and you are appreciated. Yes, it's no coincidence that you're tuned in today to hear those words voiced to you, because God knows you need to hear that and you need to feel that love. And we're praying for more ways that we can connect even in much more meaningful or inconsistent ways with those of you who may feel like, hey, I'm just going through life and doing life alone. And there's a time and a season for everything. There's a time and a season for us to embrace our periods of solitude in life. But I don't want us to get so conditioned by being separate or individuals that we forget what it's like to be a part of something or a part of someone. And so we can almost convince ourselves that, hey, I'm good. I don't really need it. We can say this, but in our reality, we need to face the truth about why we may feel like I don't need anybody. Maybe some type of personal hurt, maybe some type of relationship hurt, maybe some levels of distrust or insecurity, and which are all valid reasons why we may feel certain ways about where we are in life. You may have gone through hurt and disappointment. You say, hey, I just want to focus on me for right now. And that's perfectly okay to take time to focus on you. And in fact, I often suggest and recommend that people not just move from situation to situation without some period of self-reflection or self-examination, or maybe investing in your own self, maybe seeking some therapy, some counseling, or learning, or just pausing your life for a moment to catch your breath and just to see things maybe through a different light. So prayerfully, this conversation today will help spur some thinking, maybe generate some conversations with you among those in your circle of influence as well. The main thing about this is we can think about a thought of such for tonight is to be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Are you living the life that you want to live? Or are you living the life that others want you to live? And oftentimes we feel like we have to live a certain way in order to fit into groups with other people. And there are times where we all need, in order to have relationships with people, we have to learn, yes, we have to learn to relate to others, not just relate to them through our view or our perspective. We must also be able to, in simpler terms, put ourselves in someone else's shoes, to empathize with what they may be experiencing, what their background, what their current situations is like, because it may be so different than what your life is like that you really can't relate to them. And listen, children of God, if we can't relate to people, we cannot have a relationship with them, because in order to have a relationship, you must be able to identify with one another. So if there are people of different, say even religious backgrounds or race or ethnic backgrounds or different cultural backgrounds, it will be difficult to relate to them without establishing some level of relationship, because we all share certain things in common, regardless of the external things or maybe some invariable things like dialect and language. Find out the things that you have in common and learn from one another. And this is very important for us to become well-rounded individuals. So I want you to think about that. Are you living the life you want to live? Or are you living the life someone else wants you to live? Or maybe you're trying to live the life that someone else is living. Sometimes we refer to that as, are you trying to just keep up with the Joneses because they have this, you want to have this. You need to learn to be a leader of your own life. Yes. Some people say it like, follow the beat of your own drum. You may be the one who's to be the influencer instead of being the one that is being influenced. So take the courage, have the courage to dance to the sound of your own music. Create your own music. Write your own book. Give your own sermons. Provide your own lessons to others. Whether using a forum such as this or not, I'm so encouraged when I see many people expressing themselves through the medium of social networking, through Facebooks and Twitters and Instagrams and YouTube and all the various platforms. Seems like everybody has their own podcast or Facebook Live. So you have a great platform out here to connect with other people, and someone needs to actually know you. They need to get to know you. They need to get to know your journey. They need to understand and know your story, because that will add, as I mentioned earlier, that will provide a piece of the puzzle for them. Certain things will begin to make sense for them when they hear your story. Just as I pray when you hear my story or other people's stories through whatever platforms that you utilize, that your life will begin to make more sense to you as well. So let's always have that question in mind. I ask myself that often when life changes happen, and sudden life changes can happen. Things don't always go as we plan or as we always want, but you have to learn to pivot, so to speak, how to change direction. And that's similar to what happens in our area of salvation from the Christian point of view. When Jesus says repent, it means to pause, to change direction, change the way you think, to change the way you behave, change your activities. So we have to do this in various areas of our life, whether it's spiritual. If you lose your job, you have to change the way you spend money or the things that you possess. If you get divorced, you have to change the way you relate to, if you have children, how you're going to raise your children as a parents, but being separate from each other. There are so many changes and things in life that can upset the apple cart, so to speak. But I don't want you to be so overburdened and so distraught thinking that, wow, my world is turned upside down. Let me share this with you, a little funny thing as it relates to being turned upside down. One of my aunts used to do a lot of great desserts when I was growing up. And whenever we had a lot of desserts, red velvet cakes, coconut cakes, pies, sweet potato pies, and on and on and on. But she made this one cake that was called a pineapple upside down cake. Hallelujah. Let me tell you, saints, I just share that with you to let you know that just because your life is turned upside down doesn't mean something good can't come out of that. Because that pineapple upside down cake was one of the most delicious desserts that I remember tasting. And so that I want you to take from that God can turn an upside down situation in your life. He can turn it around for you, children of God. He can give you beauty for your ashes. He can give you oil of gladness for your sorrow. He can turn your nighttime into daytime. And I want you to, if you're feeling like you're at your lowest point right now, God can raise you up from that situation. And a lot of it begins with our mindset. It's helpful for us to have, when we have these negative thoughts or these thoughts of lack and thoughts of sickness and thoughts of disgust and despair in life, one way to counteract those negative thoughts is by feeding your positive thoughts, feeding on positive things. And we'll see in some other portions of scripture that the Apostle Paul spoke to a certain group of believers. I think it was in the letter to the church in Philippi, where he says, think about things that are lovely, that are true, that are worthy of praise and of good report. And if there be any other thing, think about these things. Because as a person thinketh in their heart, so is he or she. So I really want to speak to that issue a lot. Really want you to think about that aspect. That's why I mentioned earlier, are you living your life? Or are you living the life other people want you to live? Or are you actually maybe unconsciously or subconsciously trying to live the life of someone else? You can only be good at being yourself, thanks to God. So be the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Everyone does not have the same interests in life. Everyone does not have the same goals, wants, or desires. So don't try to be everyone else. Find out who you are. And follow your dreams, follow your goals. Ask God to allow you to fulfill the desires of your heart and enjoy yourself. Enjoy life, even the twists and turns, the ups and downs. Find peace in the midst of the storms that we all face and go through in life. And prayerfully, if you don't have anyone in your physical environment, if you find people on your social networks or virtually, find genuine and authentic connections. People must accept you as you are. If you ever feel like you have to change or be a different person in order for people to accept you, then they're not worth knowing. Value yourself enough to know that you're lovable enough, you are worthy of love, you are worthy of respect, you are worthy of honor, and hold on to that dignity of knowing that. So others have to match you where you are. They must respect you, they must honor you, they must love you for who you are, and vice versa. We must also extend that same kindness, generosity, and tolerance to others who may be quite different from us. Think differently, believe differently, pray differently, act differently, come from different backgrounds, education levels, socioeconomic situations. Again, that's why I wanted to really emphasize in this conversation today that we learn to find things we have in common, because those are a lot more difficult to find than the things that we have different from each other. Most of the things that are different are fairly obvious on the surface. But to find out what things you have in common, you have to dig a little bit deeper, children of God. So let's make sure that we're not just Christians in name only. We must be Christ-like in our attitude, our actions, and our behavior, so that we can build bridges between people instead of walls, that we can find connections instead of being separated from each other. Because in some way, some form, some fashion, we all need each other. And if you're married or your spouses or you're dating someone, you may not always see everything the same. There may be some things you disagree with, but never try to win every argument. Try to find a resolution to your differences, and there will not be many heated arguments. And guess what? If you want to look at it as a win or lose proposition, it's okay to lose some arguments so that you can win the war. So don't take such great satisfaction in always having to be right when it comes to relationships. There are two reasons why that's important. Because first of all, you're not always right. And second of all, you have to learn to see life through other people's eyes in order to see your position better. So I just pray that this type of conversation may spur some thinking for individual growth, for individual development, as well as relationship development. Maybe even on your job with your coworkers or your fellow church members or members of your household. People who are part of our society and government, and our relations with people who are different than us. That this little conversation may help you to say, hey, am I living my life, or am I living through the eyes of other people about what their expectations are of me? My friends may not approve if I talk with this person. My family may not approve if I spend time or be seen with these people, or listen to this type of music, or I go to this place of worship. Remember, saints, you have to live your life. You can only be the best if you're being yourself. And you have enough in you. You have enough intellect. You have enough peace. You have enough strength within yourself to accomplish those things that you may think you cannot accomplish. You may surprise yourself what you're capable of when you simply be yourself. I think you'll find more peace, more happiness, more contentment in life when you learn to enjoy you for being you, and other people will start to enjoy you for being yourself as well. So thank you so much, thanks to God, for allowing me this opportunity. I always enjoy hearing from you all. In fact, that's what inspires a lot of these little conversations that I have with you. Feel free to reach out to us, touch base with us, whether through our YouTube channel, our Facebook pages, or email or my website, Mason Grace Ministries, which is agministries.net, Lyndon Hutcherson on Facebook. We love to hear from you. Maybe we can provide and be a part of the puzzle that you cannot see yet, perhaps through our interaction, fellowship, prayer, and conversations. We can all see our lives in a much more clearer way, that we can go through life knowing that we're not alone, that we all belong to one another as a part of this human race. So God bless and prosper you, children of God. Remember to live your best life, because you can only be good at being yourself. God bless you.